thriller at the end of this in Miami. Arizona ends up winning this game with a game-winning field goal at the end, 28-27. Arizona's top 5 graded players in this game: wide receiver Marvin Harrison Jr. at the very top of the list with an 85.0. Tight end Trey McBride, National Tight End Day, with a 79.8. How many tight ends do you see on this list? It's national. It is National Tight End Day.
They showed up. That's for darn sure. They showed up.
Defensive tackle Dante Stills with a 71.0. Offensive guard Evan Brown with a 69.8, and then offensive tackle Kevin Beecham with a 69.3. Kyler Murray in this one an 85.4. And then as you can see there, Miami's top 5 graded players: running back Devon Achane with an 81.6. Offensive center Aaron Brewer with an 80.9. Offensive guard Robert Jones with a 79.0. Cornerback Kendall Fuller with a 77.8. Defensive tackle Calais Campbell with a 77.8. Quarterback Tua Tagovailoa making his return here in this one, a 65.0. What do we think about this one? What's the stat that told the story, Dalton?
So the Cardinals, just their offense, Kyler Murray and this offense just took the game over in the fourth quarter. They found some momentum. They ran 21 plays in the fourth quarter. They got nearly 7 yards of play, scored the 10 points after they had a 9-point deficit. Kyler Murray completed his last 10 passes, a couple of them just spectacular. Off balance, under pressure. He can move out of the pocket. He can throw from within the pocket. This Cardinals offense, we know for stretches of games, is incredibly dangerous, and the stretch of the game that they picked in this one was the fourth quarter. They finished their last 2 drives with an absolute flurry. Kyler was great. They killed the clock. They got the game-winning field goal, and in a game where for the first 3 quarters, I think there was some serious doubt about how they could win it. I thought Tua looked good for the Dolphins in his first game back here. The Dolphins offense finally looked like they were supposed to. But the Cardinals in the fourth quarter, they won this game when it mattered. Their offense was really good. When they get hot on offense, it's a dangerous unit, and we've seen that multiple times this year, that late in this game, they were just fantastic.
Yeah, I'm glad that you gave kudos to Arizona's offense, because I don't want to take anything away from them. They played very well in this game. Kyler played very well in this game. Marvin Harrison Jr. showed why you draft him as high as they did this past offseason. But I'm worried about the Dolphins in coverage, specifically when you've got guys like, Jalen Ramsey, you gave the money to and is supposed to be your CB1, 47.4 coverage grade this season. There was a rep against Marvin Harrison Jr. where it looked like he just straight up could not keep up with Marvin Harrison Jr. And Jalen Ramsey's been around the league a long time, and when you play corner and you get a little bit older, that's when you start to get nervous about athleticism dropping off a little bit, and he really was not able to catch up and keep up with Marvin Harrison Jr. on one of those touchdowns. Cam Smith also was starting on the outside, 40.6 coverage grade. I mean, that to me is the big-time stat that told the story. This is a very close game. Obviously, it was a 1-point game. I think the Dolphins played well. I think Tua played well. I'm glad that you recognize that. The offense looked more explosive. It looked more regular even, right? I mean, Miami getting explosive plays, scoring 27 points. It was all there for them. But the coverage side of things now on the flip side, that was worrisome in this game, and I think Arizona was really able to pick them apart. What was the most impressive for you here in this one?
Let me just roll with the coverage real quick, because that doubles as my most disappointing. Yeah, no, it's been like this all season, and the fact that they're tied for 26 in coverage grade. When you're talking about players like Jalen Ramsey is one of, if not the highest paid corner in the league, right? You've got Kendall Fuller, who was a big acquisition. You've got Javon Holland. There's a boatload of talent in the secondary, and all season they have covered. They've struggled to cover their defense. I'm not exactly sure yet what their defensive identity is. If they're a man team, if they're a zone team, if they're a blitzing team, they're kind of middle of the road in a lot of the defensive kind of tendencies, and it just seems like they don't necessarily execute any of them. I don't know if they need to simplify it, if they're running too much stuff, but it's just not. It hasn't been there all year. In this secondary especially, we knew the front 7, the D-line, had a lot of injuries, right, especially off the edge. But this secondary was supposed to be kind of the bedrock of this defense, and it hasn't been all year. And, again, it wasn't in this game in a big spot.
Most impressive for you. Just jump right into it.
Give me Trey McBride,
sure.
Tight end. We'll do National Tight End Day again. Sure, why not? I mean, 9 catches, 124 yards, 6 first downs. And what you see from McBride, right, Marvin Harrison – supposed to be the number 1 guy, but he's still a rookie, and he had a huge game in this game too. Don't get me wrong, but you see when McBride is involved, and this Cardinals team, they actually use it's weird because they're spread out and it's Kyler Murray and stuff, but they also use a lot of tight ends, whether it be in their run game and their play action game. In their 4 wins, Trey McBride is averaging roughly 74 yards a game with an 86.7 receiving grade. In their 4 losses, one of the games he missed, he has 38 yards a game and a 69 receiving grade.
Get him involved.
Right?
Tight end wins, baby.
Trey McBride is a huge X factor for them because what he allows them to do, right? We know they have guys on the outside. They have Harrison, they have Wilson, they have Dortch, they have all the guys, right? They can spread out and do the Kyler Murray stuff anytime because he's been doing that his whole life. But when they get in these tighter sets with multiple tight ends and Trey McBride moving around the formation and doing all the things he can do, that's when they get really dangerous because Trey McBride's a serious mismatch. He just is. He's so hard to cover. He's been a great route runner for a long time, and now they've got him in the groove of this offense. He really, I think, look, they need Harrison to be great. They need Kyler and James Conner to be great in the backfield. But when Trey McBride is on, this gets really hard to stop, this team. And he was fantastic in this game, especially down the stretch. I think he's a huge factor if the Cardinals. Look, they're 4-4. We're going to talk about them making a playoff push here, and that division's wide.
Oh yeah,
that division is wide open.
Yeah, I think that we've talked about the Cardinals over the last couple of weeks has been a frustrating team for that reason, right? Because we think they should be in a playoff push, at least at this point of the year. Now, whether or not they were going to make the playoffs at the end, I still think they're a year away, especially on the defensive front, becoming a real contender in this league. But I felt like they should have competed or at least played spoiler to some teams.
This is easily a playoff caliber offense.
Yeah, it can be.
Question.
Right. It's inconsistent, but it certainly can be. Yeah, and so this is more towards, what we think we could see from the Cardinals. It was nice to see. My most impressive is Marvin Harrison Jr. 7 targets, 6 catches, 111 yards in this game, 1 touchdown. In the fourth quarter alone, Marvin Harrison Jr., 5 targets, 3 catches, 56 yards, 3 for a first down, 2 for 2 on contested catches, 91.3 receiving grade. So not only was Marvin Harrison Jr. great in this game, he was the closer. He was who they went to. His connection with Kyler Murray is really strong already, and I think that that's something that you absolutely love to see. I think there will be a little bit more analysis with the Miami Dolphins when we have a couple of weeks to kind of figure things out with them, with Tua being back, okay? Because the first half of the season, through the first 7 weeks, I mean, let's admit it, what are you going to analyze with the Dolphins? Like, the stats themselves told us it was so bad.
If there's a bright spot, it's just that their offense looked the way it was supposed to.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So so I want to let a couple of games go by, at least 2, before we really dive into okay, these are maybe some things that Miami really needs to work on, or praise some things that are going really well for a unit that was very, very explosive last season.